Alan Knowles is probably best known as the owner of CT Racing, but what a lot of you might not know is he's actually an accomplished racer and rider. He was a test rider in a lot of the magazine shoots for quite a long time. I think he still might even be in some. And in 2000, at the Legends race in Ashtabula, Ohio, he was actually invited. I was able to do an interview with him, talk to him about what was it like back in the day versus what was going on at that time and what did he see in the future for the sport. So check it out.
I'm Alan Knowles. I own CT Racing. I'm from Morro Bay, California, Central California. Been living in the Los Angeles area running CT Racing for the past 15 years.
Okay, give me your racing history. Any major races that you've won, championships?
I was fourth in the 1987 National Championships on the LT 500 back when there was factory teams, top privateer. Second in the Off-Road World Championships in 86 in the open class. Campaigned the Nationals through 88 and started having riders actually ride for me. And I started getting a little bit old then, so I'm way older now and probably don't need to be doing this anymore. CT Racing develops a lot of two-stroke stuff. We've moved to a lot of four-stroke because the market's going four-stroke. CT Racing developed Pro Cross cylinders, and we have a new cylinder coming on the market with a power valve. We've got a new Banshee cylinder coming out, and probably a Blaster cylinder shortly behind that. So most of what we do is develop two-stroke cylinders and modify stock cylinders, suspension, that kind of stuff.
Okay, how'd you get started in ATV racing?
I started ATV racing as a kind of a dare. Gary Jones, three-time national motocross champion. We just got to bench racing one day, who could beat who. So we borrowed a couple of box stock cylinder axles, not on a razor blade, and we had a race who could beat who. Really stock bikes. Two of us were big guys, and we didn't look that fast. We got first and second on them. We started catching a lot of crud from the other motor builders, laughing at us and giving us a hard time. So I came back a couple weeks later with the 250R and beat all the expert riders who were racing at the time. And I started racing after that.
Okay, out of all the bikes you've ridden, what's the favorite bike?
I personally have a Honda with my 350 kit. I think it's the funnest bike to ride. It's got the best power curve and it handles the best. Close second is probably some of the LT 250 500 powered 250 chassis bikes I've ridden. I think there's some new stuff on the horizon that may give me a run for the money on those bikes. Maybe the new Raptor with some modifications. There's new stuff coming out right now.
Okay. Now, going to the races, a lot of crazy things happen. What's the wildest racing story that you have?
Oh, that's pretty tough. Probably the wildest one that everybody knows about me was Ohio. We did a national in Ohio, and they took us to a dog and pony show track that was basically a glorified oval with narrow corners and I think something like 20-second lap times. And there was so many pros that year. That was 1987 when all the factories were there. There was over 60 pros. You had to win your heat to make the main. And if two riders went down, they did a restart. So they made me start in the back row because I'd signed up late. So I told them I was going to bend parts, and I just caused a restart every time I could until I got the start I wanted. So I think I caused 7 restarts in a row or something like that. And that was a pretty good thing. Pissed off a lot of people.
Now, it's been a while since you've been racing. How is it getting back out on the track on a race bike?
These bikes are so much different than what we raced. They're hooked up now. We used to race loose bikes, back end slid around, which kind of worked for most of us coming over from three-wheelers. Now they got short swing arms. The bikes are flat, hard to ride, and I think you can see that with most of the older guys that are coming back that didn't ride the short bikes. Of course, you got Dent and Scott, a few of those that made a living on the short bikes. They're doing pretty good. Some of us, we're struggling a little bit. Our lap times are down. We're having a lot of fun. I'm not trying to go super fast.
Okay. What's the biggest difference between racing back then when you were really active in it versus racing now?
The biggest difference racing back then probably was that there was the carrot was out there. There was a potential to get a factory ride. So you spent maybe a little more money traveling, kind of hung it out there, trying to think, if I do really good, I might get that factory ride. So that was what drove everybody in the day. There was a few more dollars available at some levels. Suzuki was paying out quite a bit of money, so we could go make a good money at local races as well. You don't see that now. The local racing is.
Who's the best ATV rider you've ever seen?
That's a really tough question. I thought about that a lot. I think the most gifted was the best in for his little time period was probably Charlie Shepard. Over the long haul, obviously Gary didn't. Can't take it away. Marty Hart was right there. Marty Hart should have won more. Should have won the national championship on a four-wheeler, but he had mechanical problems that took it away from him. Marty Hart was right there. I'd say Charlie in his era was dominant. He won 10 Mickey Thompsons. He won 6, got 2 seconds.
Where do you see the sport of ATV racing going in the future?
Sport ATV racing is probably going to stay how it is now. The direction, there's not enough direction at this time. Unless there's factory involvement. A few of us tried to instigate some things to help the sport that have never been done. We really need a super stock class running closer to stock equipment to draw people in cheaper. This machine that I'm sitting on here today, probably you couldn't buy one for $12,000. It's too much money. We need to get back to a lower cost bike, and that means some rules need to be implemented to do it. That'll help bring ATV racing up to the grassroots. In the days that we used to race, we used to build our bikes. We'd buy a $2,300 Honda, spend a couple $100 a week. We never knew how much we had. And we hid it from ourselves and our wives and our girlfriends and everything else. Pretty soon we were racing $5,000 bikes. Nowadays you can't do it that way. You gotta go out and buy the chassis, buy all these components. You gotta do it all at once. You can't just stick a part on, part here, and be competitive. You gotta spend a bunch of money at one time. That makes it fun.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Alan Knowles. If you did, I've got a lot of other ones from that event with guys like Gary Denton, Marty Hart, Jimmy White, Dean Sundahl. So check it out. There should be links right here. Also, make sure like and subscribe. Thank you.